I'm back. Loser, party of one.
Mel, have you ever wondered why you made so many enemies along the way? Sure, Audrey's behavior was next level, but she had her reasons for being mad at you. We love how you developed over the 3 Descendants movies. You truly became your best self.
I've learned that you can't live in fear.
But that doesn't mean it's all plain sailing from here. Forget enemies, it's frenemies that you'll need to watch out for. There can only be one queen bee after all, and there's a certain Disney princess who will also want that crown.
I have to be queen of the Isle, too.
If all the characters got to hang out together in the Disneyverse, not everyone would get along. There'd be some pretty major frenemy dynamics. Keep watching to the end to discover which ladies would clash over whose powers were the greatest. Tiana and Jasmine. At first glance, you'd think that these 2 Disney princesses would get along just fine. But as with all the pairings on our list, when you scratch the surface, you see just how much these frenemies would clash. Tiana is the only Disney princess to have an actual job. The heroine of The Princess and the Frog is totally driven to achieve her dream of owning a restaurant. And that's down to her deep respect for her father.
I gotta make sure all Daddy's hard work means something.
Jasmine, on the other hand, is not interested in following her father's advice. She defies his requests and even runs away from home. Aladdin's love interest is not aware of the rules of life in the real world, like having to pay for food off of a market stall.
Here you go.
You'd better be able to pay for that.
Jasmine is all about wanting independence from her dad and going on adventures. Tiana, in contrast, is all about working hard and honoring her dad's legacy. That's some pretty fundamental differences to create a major clash. Of course, sometimes being too similar can cause problems too, and that's the case with our next entry. Jay and Flynn Rider. If anyone knows a thing or two about stealing, it's Descendants' very own VK-turned-hero, Jay. As would Tangled's Flynn Rider, or should we say Eugene Fitzherbert? Rapunzel's Bay has also gone from being a thief to a hero.
No, come on. Just breathe.
I can't let you do this.
So surely these 2 reformed characters would get on perfectly. We think not. You can't ignore their shared competitive nature. Jay transformed the thrill of the steal to the thrill of the tourney field, but that need to win is still there. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. However, we can't help but think that a little healthy competition would boil over into something more antagonistic between these 2 guys. Sure, they'd act like friends on the outside, but deep down, they'd both be trying to one-up each other.
I can't believe that after all we've been through together, you don't trust me?
Keep watching to discover which other Disney characters' similarities would push them apart rather than strengthen their bond. Pocahontas and Mulan. Both of these Disney princesses broke the mold when their movies came out in the 90s. They brought different cultures to the franchise and a fresh outlook on what could define a princess. However, that doesn't mean that they'd be besties. Quite the contrary, in fact. Pocahontas is a pacifist. She doesn't support violence or combat of any sort, period.
Look around you. This is where the path of hatred has brought us.
Mulan, of course, is a trained soldier. We can just imagine these 2 arguing over their different approaches to conflict resolution. We can also picture their sidekicks kicking off too. Pocahontas' hummingbird friend, Flit, could get feisty with Mulan's cricket confidant, Cricky. As for Dragon Mushu and Raccoon Miko, there could be a fair bit of fighting over who gets to eat all the snacks.
Hey, get out of there! You're gonna make people sick!
The real question, though, is which other Disney princess would take on the role of mediator. We reckon Frozen's Anna would make a great moderator, but she might be too busy dealing with her own frenemy situation. Merida and Anna. Merida and Anna both have issues with their families. Frozen is a masterclass in the intricacies of sisterly relationships, while Brave expertly plays out the tensions between mothers and daughters.
I'm not going to be like you.
Oh, you're acting like a child.
You'd think that shared experience would bond Merida and Anna, but we're pretty sure these redheads would have plenty of passive-aggressive spats. Merida is a rebel and is keen to defy the typical role a princess is supposed to accept. She's not bothered about tearing her family apart, or tearing apart a perfectly good tapestry for that matter. Sure, she makes nice with her mom in the end, but initially she's quite happy to shame her household by refusing to marry any of her suitors. On the flip side, Anna is all about preserving the family bond.
Elsa, please, please.
Please, I can't live like this anymore.
She'd do anything for her sis, including sacrificing herself. And although Merida gets to that point in the end, we just can't see Anna digging Merida's sulky teenager vibes. Mal and Elsa. Anna's sister is a prime candidate for having a fair few frenemies. She's one of the feistiest of all the Disney princesses, being determined to do things her way.
You asked for my blessing, but my answer is no.
Do you know who else is headstrong in the Disneyverse? Descendants' very own powerhouse, Mal. Instead of bonding over their shared abilities to shoot out awesome powers, these two Disney characters would totally clash. They each want to be Queen Bee, but when there's only room for one at the top, the gloves would come off. Quite literally in Elsa's case. They might pretend like they respect each other, but deep down they'd be plotting how to prove that they were the most powerful of them all.
Dragons don't really lose sleep.
Whose powers do you think would win in a battle? Mal's green-eyed dragon might or Elsa's icy force? So that's a wrap on the Disney characters that would be frenemies. Which Disney character would be your frenemy? We'd love to know, so please share with us in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to The Things for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.